Acknowledge me.
Leveled by Marvin Constant, the redshirt freshman out of Tuscaloosa. Oh, they go by now. Let him know he don't want to stop. 65 yards as the ball was thrown away from the line of scrimmage. Gerald Dixon.
Hey, you forgot my thought.
MC Proper.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your favorite night of the week. We all know that. We don't have to say it, but we're going to do it anyway because we are pumped up. It is Oklahoma week. You have made it to another fantastic Tuesday with your family here at the Bama Standard. Before we start getting set up, I want you to get set up. Get right. Hit that like and subscribe button. Chat. Let's get rowdy tonight. If you're watching a replay by chance, get down in the comment section below. Show us some love there. Interact with us, and we'll definitely get back to you. We love discussion. We love debate. I'm your host, Justin Riley, and with me, well, it's the Trinity tonight. We have a couple of guys out, but no worries. We're going to bring the entertainment and the information that you're craving absolutely every week. But 1999 All-SEC linebacker, when Ric Flair said to be the man, woo, you got to beat the man. Ladies and gentlemen, he is and will always be that man, Marvin Constant.
Yay, roll tide. Listen, Justin, Steven, I'm going to tell y'all something.
Yes.
Well, you know, I think Marvin is pretty happy that Steve Brown won't be with us tonight because now he can do what he does without Steve, you know, interrupting him as he often does. So, you know, I think we'll get through the show in one piece tonight. So
Marvin will be filling in for both himself and Stephen M. Smith tonight.
What can I say, Justin? I'm only here to deliver the depth chart so that the Alabama fans know where we stand going into Norman.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Stephen M. Smith 2.0. But just above him is the real one, the senior analyst of Touchdown Alabama Magazine and the Bama Standard, a guy that keeps Paul Feinbaum gainfully employed. He is the eyes and ears of Bama Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in with his Tonight Show background still fully intact, Stephen M. Smith.
You see him, baby. Hold me on, baby. You see him? On the five, baby. Still doing it.
The tables have turned, Marvin Constant.
Justin, I will let him have that one. But my Stephen M. Smith is way better than his Marvin Constant.
Oh, I don't know. Fellas in the audience, fellas and ladies in the audience, let's put this to a vote. Which impersonation is better? And whoever wins this will get a free autograph from Steve Brown. So go ahead and get that going. But we've got a great show tonight. But listen, we can't do what we do without the folks who help us pay the bills. And first and foremost, that is Limestone Company. Have you ever dreamed of having a beautiful natural stone in or around your home? Don't settle for subpar materials. Check out Limestone Company's selection of natural stone products to meet all of your project needs. Limestone is located in Oneonta, Alabama, and is one of the oldest, most trusted sources in the state. So contact them today. Tell them we sent you by using the promo code, the Bama Standard, to receive 10% off your first order. And that's how you can reach them. You see the website right there. Limestone Company, cannot thank them enough for what they do for us. Marvin Constant, you look like a man that wants to say a lot of things.
I have a bone to pick with Andrea.
Oh.
Stevens was not better, Andrea. I think you're biased. It's okay. Tell me you don't like me because I don't wear glasses. Just go ahead and put it on the table.
Where do you see the bias? Let's open this up. I feel like this is something that needs to be talked about. There's some emotion there when you're stating your claim there. Oh, well, trails for all. We firing Marvin. Steven gets the strength coach job.
Hey, let's go. Let's go.
That 2.5-pound bench press will be on full display. You ever see somebody do negative reps at the combine? Stephen M. Smith. It's coming.
Look now. I get that 225 off at least once. At least one.
Bar.
Well, man, the folks in the audience are getting it in early. Pete Golding is Marvin's daddy per Tat Lawson.
Hey, listen, man. I told y'all last week, Pete is doing an amazing job at Ole Miss.
Yes.
I'm actually pleasantly surprised. So that actually leads me to wonder, was it Pete? Was it Coach Saban? Or was it the players? Which one of the three was it? Because somebody had, there was some.
I think it was a combination of all three.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, but Pete is definitely doing a masterful job at Ole Miss. So
I don't think it's Pete. I just think it's his perm, man. I just think it's the perm.
That perm holds the magic that we'll never be able to explain.
Well, the perm is the perm, but I got to give him credit. You know, his defense is one of the tops in the country, leads the country in sacks. They might have one of the number 1, number 2 overall defense. Listen, I'm telling you, man, Pete has done a great job at Ole Miss. No one can take that from him. I just wish he'd have done that same level of work at Alabama, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So, you know.
For me, before we move on, I just will never get over how he just had Will Anderson dropping back into coverage every time. Like, you just don't do that, sir.
What you say, Stephen F. Smith? You don't see that often?
No, I don't understand why he had him dropping back into coverage. Like,
according to Andrea, he has perfect eyesight, and she loves that about you. But Stephen, I'm sorry.
Andrea flirting with you.
Maybe so.
No, he said about you.
No. So I'm married, Andrea. You can't flirt with me. I can't have groupies. Come on
now, Bob. Come on, Bob.
I'm Stephen Smith. I don't do groupies.
None. Oh, Stephen, I guess your dream of being a strength and conditioning coach is short-lived because IMAX 3D is saying players going to be built like French fries. Man, they just won't let you be great, Stephen.
Sunrise, sunset. It's all right.
Well, we have a special guest tonight. We're waiting for him to get situated. And yeah, be excited because this is one of Marvin Constant's former teammates. So you know that we're going to be fired up tonight, and I'm sure we'll hear some fantastic stories. But while we wait on him, listen, we're here for a reason. Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping through the plains. We're headed to Norman. First and foremost on the docket, Alabama's offense is trending upward, and after the absolute beatdown and masterclass that we saw from Alabama, led by Jalen Milroe against LSU, one can't help but think that will continue to happen. But listen, going into Norman, this is a different situation here. Oklahoma's defense is pretty legit. Now, their ranking may not echo that, but you have to take that with a grain of salt because they have arguably one of the worst offenses in the country. We'll get to look that a little bit later, but this defense is really good. So let's talk about Oklahoma on defense. Currently, they're giving up 28 points per game in the SEC. They got some dudes. If you haven't been paying attention, Danny Stutsman, that dude is an absolute monster, one of the best linebackers in the country. 96 tackles, and then on the back end, they got a solid back end. Billy Bowman is the guy heading it up there. And they have been – now this is the point that I'm kind of concerned about. They've been very successful against the running quarterbacks. Lenore Sellers, Jackson Dart, arguably two of the best running quarterbacks in the SEC now, were held to 33 yards or less against Oklahoma. So this may pose a problem for Jalen Milroe. Milroe arguably right now is on a high. The past two games, y'all, 228 yards. 5 touchdowns. It's hard to stop that man. So this poses a question. How, at this point, can Alabama's offense make this stout Oklahoma defense quit? I saw your finger up first, Stephen. Now start it out, and then let's hear from Marvin.
Whoa. You know, it starts with
I was diving in.
Before the protege jumps in, first and foremost, Bama number 7 in the college football playoff rankings. It is official, Bama 7. So Bama would host a playoff game if the playoff was to start right now. But going back to Bama's offense, Oklahoma's defense, the big thing here is the creativity of Nick Sheridan. This is something that you did not see last week against Mercer. Now, whether it didn't call for that, that's debatable. You can talk amongst yourselves on that, but you got to have that against a Brent Venables type of defense because he's going to send multiple looks. He's going to bring different pressures. They got, our Mason Thomas as well. He is their leading guy for tackles for loss and sacks. That guy's a dude. This is a team that's got 32 sacks from the season, 80 tackles for loss. They create negative plays. They get takeaways also. So the biggest thing for Nick Sheridan, Bama needs LSU, creative Nick Sheridan. That guy that called that game from start to finish, that's what Bama needs against Oklahoma on the road in Norman this week.
Marvin, I'm anxious to hear from you. I'm sure you can admire the work of Stutsman and his crew at linebacker. They're legit. They pose an issue, and they can create problems for Jalen Milroe. If Jalen is forced to pass the ball, where's your confidence level in this hostile environment on the road?
Anytime you go on the road to play, it's always difficult, especially the SEC. But I'm going to say this. With Oklahoma being a newcomer to the SEC, I don't think that we can really say this is a SEC road game of typical fashion that we're used to, like going to a Baton Rouge or a Auburn or an Athens, because again, we look at what Tennessee did against them, worked them. We look at what South Carolina did against them, worked them. South Carolina has shown they have several vulnerabilities on defense, and they struggle with stopping the run and the pass at times. So I'm not so much as concerned about what their defense is going to do as much as our offense and our offensive coordinator game planning and setting up those bigger plays to come later on. So when we are ready to take the top off, we've effectively ran the ball enough to make them bring that eighth defender, the safety, into the box so that we can get the one-on-ones over the top or on the perimeter if that's where we're looking to go, a deep go outside the hash, whatever it may be. But again, that starts with our offensive coordinator running the ball and doing what he's supposed to do. If this team does what it's supposed to do, they will be just fine.
I look at this and I go back to the 2018 Orange Bowl between Alabama and Oklahoma. Remember, that was the Josh Jacobs game. Jacobs went off, running the football, catching the ball, trucking a guy over. Jam Miller can have that type of game. If you look at Jam, he's built in that same mold of a Josh Jacobs. And I feel like this is a game where you can really utilize his versatility, while at the same time in the second half, you go more to Richard Young because of he's gotten healthier, he's gotten stronger, he's not banged up anymore. We're talking back-to-back weeks, Mercer, LSU and the Mercer with a rushing touchdown. Second half, go to that 220-pounder and Richard Young. That first half, you use that versatility of Jam Miller.
Yeah, without question. This is also a game where we need to be on top of things. We can't revert to undisciplined mistakes, the penalties, turnovers, things that could easily serve up an Oklahoma team who was just gasping for some sign of life. Right now, their backs are against the wall. They need one more game to become bowl eligible. They got us, then they got LSU. It's a pretty high mountain to climb, but also, too, their coach is on the hot seat. Brent Venables, he's a great coach. He just, for some reason, has not been able to put things together this year in Norman, but fantastic mind. They're going to be playing hard for him. This is a game where Alabama cannot afford another slow start, as we're been commonly used to before LSU, before Mercer, of course. So that's what I need to see out the gate. Intense energy. Don't wait to score. Take the crowd out of it early. If you get a nice enough lead early on, Oklahoma does have a tendency to kind of back down. Is that something you see here, Marvin?
Very true. So if you look at the game they played against Tulane, they were up 21-0 against Tulane, I think, in the second quarter. Next thing you know, Tulane's in the game, and it's a one-score game. How do I know this? Because I took Oklahoma that game to cover, and you let Tulane march the damn ball up and down the field on you, and you didn't cover, man. Okay? This is not the little 12. You are now in the SEC. The ass better come and play every damn week. That was the last time I bet on Oklahoma too, because I was like, you know what, this ain't. Because I was about to take them against South Carolina, but something told me don't do it. And then South Carolina works. Listen, man, Oklahoma's not built for SEC ball yet. They're still built for Big 12 ball, Little 12, or whatever you want to call it. They don't have the infrastructure yet in terms of O-line and D-line to control the trenches. If you can't control the trenches in the SEC, you might as well take your ass home, because even Vandy can do that against teams. They did it against Texas. They did it against us. So, again, and I don't think that Oklahoma has the skill set yet in terms of linemen or the capacity yet to do that. And if you can't control that line of scrimmage,
right,
I expect this offense to run the ball early and often, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, wear them down. We know they're thin at this moment. Wear their asses down. So that way, by the time the third quarter comes around, boom, you want to take the top off religiously, take the damn top off. You want to run go routes with Ryan Williams. You want to run posts with Jeremy Bernard. You can do all that. You want to run tunnel screens with your tight ends. If we run the ball effectively in the first and second quarter, all of that will be wide open come third and fourth quarter. But again, that starts with running the ball, making them walk the eighth defender down in that box to have to cover that, to stop that run. But again, that the coordinators are going to be pivotal in this game. Same when you look at the defense, Oklahoma's offense, they want to try to run the ball. Their quarterback has been suspect at times. He's thrown a lot of interceptions. He makes bad decisions. If we do what we did in the last few weeks, we got to get pressure, make him get rid of the ball. That's when you start getting interceptions, when you make quarterbacks skittish. When they're nervous and they know they got to get rid of that ball quickly, that's when you start to see interceptions. They're just throwing it up because they're tired of getting hit. And if you remember, that's the way we used to play. We used to hit quarterbacks in the mouth early and often. So third, fourth quarter, they just throwing it up because they don't want to get hit anymore. That's what we got to get back to.
Absolutely. Stephen Smith, give me your thought, and then when you're done, our guest of honor has arrived, and I need you to bring him on as only you can. But go ahead, sir.
I think the biggest thing is going to be Brent Venables. I know he's on the hot seat right now, but part of that is, or a lot of that is, Oklahoma does not have that offensive coordinator. We've known in the past in Oklahoma, they've had that guy to call offense, whether it was Jeff Levy, whether it was, Lincoln Riley from a head coaching perspective, coaching at Oklahoma. They don't have that guy that can structure the offense in such a way that makes you have to defend the entire field. Arnold's a decent quarterback, but if you rattle him, he's going to make mistakes. You have the Hawkins kid, the freshman, who started off playing really well, goes down to Auburn to beat Auburn, but ever since then, the Hawkins kid, you really don't know what he is truly right now. So Oklahoma, they've got defense. Offensively, they don't have the play caller to really make this thing go. And I feel like if you're Alabama, you come off that plane in Norman, you got the offense to make this go. You are Nick Sheridan. You script this thing down and you say, hey, we're taking this football, we're wearing them down. Because the way Kane Womack's got this defense cooking, this defense may get another non-offensive touchdown this week, the way they're cooking right now. So I look at this offense under Nick Sheridan. What you have scripted, go out there, execute that to the T, because Oklahoma does not know what it is offensively.
Well, and part of that is, once he's off script, what can you cook up off script is what's going to carry this team offensively. Because once they're off script, sir, you better have the flow of the game in your head. You better be comfortable with it so that you can call plays accordingly. Because, again, anybody can call on script, but once that script's over, what are you going to do?
Couldn't agree more. Now, Stephen and Smith, you've had a chance to spend time with the guys this week. What are the offensive players saying in terms of going up against this prolific defense? Where is their confidence level? What personal goals are they setting for themselves in this game? You've spoke about what Gia Campbell said earlier before we got on the air. We'll get to that. But talk to me about the offense, their confidence level, and then we're going to bring our guest on.
They're ready to mow the guys in Oklahoma down, especially the offensive line. Tyler Booker he's ready. Tyler Booker is ready to get up there and have that success, not just running the football, but in the passing game as well. When you look at Nick Sheridan, Sheridan has challenged Jalen Milroe so much this week. Do everything well. We know you've got legs. Use your legs. Run the football. Do that. But also pass the ball well. Layer the ball in there. Make the right decision. Trust in what we're having you do within this offense. So back-to-back weeks, Sheridan has challenged Milroe. Be that complete quarterback that we all know you're capable of being week by week. So I think this offense is very confident in. We can go in here, we can put points on the board, we can run it out of the building, but at the same time, we can also control the pace and the flow of the football game. I mentioned this on the post-game show after Mercer, Justin. This is an offense that at the start of the year, it was big plays, but no long sustained drives. Now you're getting the long sustained drives, but you're just not quite getting those big plays you were once getting earlier for Nick Sheridan. What do? You put those two back together. You marry those two back together so you can have those long sustained drives where you're taking the clock. But as Marvin said, when you want to take the top off too. So bring them both together.
You know what's crazy though? Looking at the CFP rankings that just came out, the Big Ten has 4 teams in the top 5. The SEC has 4 teams in the top 10. There's a very strong likelihood that you're going to see 3, if not 4 teams from the SEC make it. But you won't get that effect with the Big Ten because they all have to play each other. All those 4 teams sitting at the top, they're about to knock each other down. And with that, I think you're going to see the SEC potentially get that 4th team in.
All right. Well, guys, we waited, and it's going to be worth the wait. Stephen Smith, bring our guest on. We only got him for a little bit.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead.
All right. Welcome to the Chief from Nashville. He played with the one and only Marvin Constant, but this brother was on the defensive line, sacking quarterbacks, getting interceptions in SEC championship games, getting to the NFL and balling. This guy was one of the baddest men to mow down quarterbacks and send them home crying to their mamas on national TV. We got Reggie Grimes. He's here. Woo!
How y'all doing?
Man, what you doing with them glasses on, man? You're not that old.
I know it, but I still got to see, brother.
Now, Reggie, be honest. Have you had an introduction like that anywhere else? I know Bryant Denny was legendary, but where does it rank with that?
No, that's the first time I've ever had an introduction that could even come close to anything like that. That was awesome.
Man, glad to have you, brother. It's been a long time, and I know you got dad duty tonight, so we're going to make the most out of this time we have with you. Welcome back. It's been about a year, 2 years? Good to see you, man.
Well, it's good to be on. Good to see you guys. I check y'all out from time to time. I laugh at what y'all got to say.
Hey,
I got you.
How's Todd? You ever talk to Todd Bates?
Do I ever talk to who?
Todd Bates.
Bates?
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him since my son left Oklahoma now.
Okay.
All right, Reg, I know you got some good stories to tell about Marvin Constant. So what you got for us, man? I know you guys were notorious about causing trouble, but the right kind of trouble.
I got better questions for Reggie at this time, actually. Since we have a limited time with Reggie, there's something I want to ask him.
Okay.
Go for it.
We're used to – did we lose him?
Yeah. I don't know if he was ready. Honestly, whatever you were bringing, he felt that energy.
Hey, did statute of limitations come up? Did that come up and cut the phone line?
Nah, but I got a very important question that I do want to ask him that I know, with him being a former defensive lineman, his son playing D-line, that I know he can provide a lot of insight on, because I know that's been one of the points of contention with this team the past few years is, you know, all right,
There we
back.
go.
What do you got to add?
Go ahead, Marvin. Lay it down.
When you look at Alabama football and you look at what's driven this team the last 20 years, the D-line has been the strength hands down, with the exception of probably the last 4 to 5 years. We've seen the D-line's performance decrease, and we all know that so goes the D-line, so goes the defense, because a quarterback, if you give him all day to throw the ball, he's going to eat you alive. So from a defensive lineman's perspective, based upon what you've seen, what does Alabama's defensive line need to do to increase the amount of sacks that they're getting, as well as containment? Because we often have breakdowns on that line to where we have A gaps wide open, B gaps wide open, and, you know, guards and tackles able to get up to the next level. So what needs to be done to get this D-line back on track so that we are getting sacks and prevent those guards and tackles from getting up to that next level?
That's my personal opinion.
Oh, man, we done lost him
He
again.
was just about to spit that reel.
I'm telling you, man. Listen, he has Oklahoma connections as well too. I think they're interfering with the feed right now.
Listen, I've been waiting for us to get a defensive lineman on here to ask that question. So, because I know what the answer is from a linebacker's perspective and what I would want to happen, but I've been wanting
Go ahead, Reggie.
to get a defensive lineman's perspective on it.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of the issue is schematically they're stunting them out of being able to pass rush. And see, it was simple when we played because we were just a one gap, go get it and play the run on the way. But now it was so many stunts. They're trying to do so many stunts and bring linebackers and mix up and drop linemen and whatnot. I think a lot of it just schematically, they just need to turn them loose and let them play. More so than trying to scheme up a pass rush. That's my personal opinion. That and $1.25 to get your soda pop, I guess. You know, I don't know.
Well, I asked that question because there's a second part to it. You look at, again, what we've done under Pete Golding as our defensive coordinator. We were often at the bottom of the barrel in the SEC in sacks. Now, Pete is with Ole Miss. They lead the nation in sacks. You understand you see where I'm going with this? What little small changes can be made? Because how do we go from being at the bottom of the barrel in sacks to the top the same way Pete has went to Ole Miss and now they're in the top of the nation in sacks? How do we get that same result?
Well, I don't know what Pete is doing. I don't know if he's doing the same things. You know, I haven't watched him play. I watched him play a little bit this weekend when they played Georgia, but you know, I just haven't watched him play enough to tell you, you know, what he's doing differently. I know it has to be something. It has to be something because, you know, you can't, surely you're not doing the same thing and getting totally flipped results. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I would just have to see it. But I think a lot of, even then, I think we were stunting guys out of pass rushing. We weren't in a pass rush, dominate the run on the way to the quarterback mode under Pete Golding. We were stunning and being cute and bringing this guy and dropping this guy, you know, instead of letting the defensive line run, rush the passer and run and let the linebackers cover and do what they do.
We lost him again. But, you know, while we wait for him, a lot of that has to do with the coverage on the back end as well. Because when you're in man-to-man, and you have all these receivers that you're passing off, a lot of times guys would end up busting coverages. So you got guys wide open. When you have guys wide open, quarterback, he doesn't have to hold the ball. If you have cornerbacks that can play press man good, like we had early in the 2010, 9, 10, 11, 12, that's when you see the sack total go up. But that goes to having solid coverage on the back end. So if we can't get that coverage piece correct, we'll never be at the top of the nation in sacks.
Right. It one hand washes the other. I mean, it goes together. They're tied together. If you can't cover, you're not going to be able to rush. If you can't rush, you're not going to be able to cover. So they are tied together.
And I think that's where our issue lies.
Reggie, you've spent some time, like you said, your son played for the Sooners for for a little bit, did his thing there, and you spent some time in that stadium when it's rocking. It can get pretty crazy. What kind of environment? We as Alabama fans haven't experienced a game in Norman since 2002, and of course at that time that's a game we'd sooner forget, no pun intended. But how hostile can this place get, and how quickly does Alabama need to take that crowd out of this game?
Well, they definitely don't need to let them hang around because it can get pretty loud, pretty raucous. But we're just a better team, quite honestly. So if we go out and handle our business, do what we're supposed to do, the crowd won't be a factor. They'll be heading out of there, third quarter.
You gonna give them that long? I was thinking late second.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're going to have to jump on that. They'll stick around till halftime at least. It really depends on what the weather looks like.
Okay. A lot of folks have written them off already. Of course, I mean, with good reason. We talk about playing complementary style football. Well, you're not going to get it here in Oklahoma. Let's talk about the offense. We touched on it very lightly, but it needs to be talked about. Marvin, you've already talked about that defensive line getting through. Reggie, you've also helped complement what he said. But let's talk about just how bad this offensive line is that Alabama is going to be going up against. They have surrendered a total of 41 sacks, which is second most right now in the FBS. As far as scoring, listen, they don't do a whole lot of that. They're actually the only team to score less is Kentucky. And no other team in the SEC right now has passed for fewer yards per game. Matter of fact, in terms of overall ranking, Oklahoma's passing game is ranked 115th in the nation. Their wide receivers, which was supposed to be a strong suit coming into this season, virtually non-existent. Deion Burks has not been the player we all expected. J.J. Hester has not been that guy that we expected. The leading receiver is not even a receiver at all, is Bauer Sharp, their tight end, which he currently leads the team in 39 receptions and just 299 yards receiving. Their offense ranks 94th in scoring. This isn't the Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley by any stretch of the imagination. This could be an issue. Alabama's defense is trending up. We already talked about it. We're only giving up 16.9 points per game, guys. And since the South Carolina game, we've had 15 turnovers. Let's talk about how Alabama's offense, keeping that suit in our offense in disaster mode. How do we keep that trend continuing without Oklahoma having that aha moment where Jackson Arnold and company suddenly start figuring things out? Start us out, Stephen.
I think you continue with what you've been doing, and that's having Jihad Campbell rushing the quarterback, getting after Jackson Arnold. And then also you are seeing Quay Russo get healthier and healthier, like, and him being able to rush as well. But I think this is a game here for a young guy, Yancey Pierre. This could be a center stage moment for him. At that Wolf position, you lose Q-Rob to an injury. He's out for the year. Keanu Coop got suspended for the Mercer game. Now we hear today he's filed his paperwork to hit the transfer portal. I hate it for him. Best to him. But now here's a chance for Yancey Pierre. Hey, here's my moment, right? I can go on the biggest stage for me right now in Oklahoma and tear up Oklahoma's passing, tear it completely to shreds. This is a moment for him. Here's a moment for your two young Wolf linebackers. These are both two true freshmen, Noah Carter, Jay Sean Ross. The red shirts are off, both of them. They're going to play. They are both going to play. So here's a moment for these two. We've seen back-to-back games between Mercer and LSU. Keon Keeley's gotten out there, and he's been able to do some good things. So here's a moment for Keon Keeley. We've seen James Smith in the game more, Jordan Renaud in games more. So I think this defense, what it has to do, continue pressuring the pocket. And as you are pressuring the pocket, getting your hands up in the passing lanes to cause deflections, which create those turnovers. You go back to the athletic one-handed pick from Quay Russo last week. What happened? Deontay Lawson. What do you do, senior? Get your hands in the passing lane. Effective vision. tip the ball in the air, allowing your teammate to make a play right there on that football. Deshaun Jones knocking the ball out, forcing a fumble. Damani Jackson did the same thing. So pressuring the quarterback and being optimistic, being around that football.
Marvin, talk to me. This is the perfect game for you to tee off. This is a perfect game to get stats, to wreck shop. All you got to do is wreck Jackson Arnold's mindset, his psyche, just like we did previously with LSU's quarterback, Nussmeier. All we had to do was get inside his head, confuse him a little bit, get pressure on him. He was wilting. Same thing can be said of Jackson Arnold. He's not too confident in the way things are going. And if they start playing musical chairs again with quarterbacks, it could be over more quickly than we expect. But talk to me about what you see and how we keep Oklahoma's offense in disaster mode.
Pressure, pressure, and pressure. I don't care who you got back there, quarterback. If you're teeing off on him after so many hits, he's not going to want it anymore. And when he doesn't want it anymore, he's just going to start throwing it up. And that's when you start to see the turnovers happen. So, again, it starts with the D-line up front. Pressure, pressure, pressure. So, again, I'm challenging our secondary this week. Cover like you've never covered before. If we play solid on the back end, I think you'll see this defense get the most sacks in a game that they've probably gotten in the last 2 or 3 seasons. But that starts with the back end doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Go ahead, Stephen.
I think the biggest player I'm going to challenge here on the back end is Devontae Smith at that Husky position. He's got to defend that inside guy well. We've seen moments where Smitty has played pretty solidly. We've seen moments where he's been burned a bit. So I'm putting the focus on him at that inside Husky slot corner position. He has got to play that guy on the inside because Xavier Brown's getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Each game he's getting better. Damani Jackson's looking like a late first-round pick right now. Malachi Moore's playing well. Brayson Hubbard has put his hand on this defense. Boy, is he playing well. And he's going to get even more of an increased role. Why? Because Keon Sabb is out for the year with that foot issue. So you look at Devontae Smith, I'm putting the microscope on him. He has got to have his best game at that Husky position. And then behind him, you got Deshaun Jones, who can play that as well. You also got Red Morgan. So, but I'm putting the microscope on. Smitty's got to show up, and Smitty's got a ball this week.
Okay. Now, Marvin, pick up after that. Who is someone you feel like needs to really step it up this week and kind of be the X factor on that defense?
I'm going to go Malachi Moore. You know, Malachi, we need you to be a leader on that back end. And because, again, when I say solid coverage, that starts with making the correct adjustments, again, because the defense, middle linebacker may change the defense. Changes the defense, you got to change the coverage. How well will Moore get everyone set on that back end to ensure we're doing what we need to do so that when we have to pass off 2 and 3, we're able to pass them off and there's no confusion so that we don't have wide receivers running wide open. So I need that commander, the field general in Malachi, to come out to keep everybody on the same page.
Couldn't agree more. Stephen M., before we get to the depth chart, we got a lot to talk about. Real quickly, guys, let's talk about any obstacles you may feel will be in a way from us doing what we need to do in Norman. And by that, I mean handing Oklahoma a lopsided defeat. What do you think is the biggest thing standing in our way? I mean, other than complacency, which the fans throughout this week have been talking to me, that's been their biggest overall concern. That Alabama has issues with complacency. We've been so up and down this year. We don't know how to perfectly gauge. When we're on, we're arguably the best team in the country. You saw what we did against Georgia. You saw what we did against LSU. What version of Bama do we get this week? That's the biggest question that's being asked of me. Other than complacency, what is your biggest concern in terms of obstacles this week? Start me out, Marvin, and then Stephen M. Wrap it up.
I mean, you come off a win against Mercer. We all know that's Mercer. But prior to, the game against LSU, huge win in Baton Rouge. I hope that was a stepping stone not a pitfall. If you understand what I'm saying. Because that win could go one of two ways. Either it's going to be the catalyst to project you to where you're going, or it's going to be that pitfall that gets you right back to where you were after the Vandy loss and the Tennessee loss. So it's just a matter of what they want to do after that game, because the Mercer game didn't count them. It's Mercer. We all knew what was going to happen. But how do you respond moving forward? Because again, it is Oklahoma, it is Norman. So it's going to be a difficult game in the beginning. We just have to take their wheel from them early and often, and we'll be fine. But again, to me, it's what do you do in response to the game against LSU? Is that truly going to be your catalyst, or will it be your downfall?
Follow up, Stephen M. I'm anxious to hear what you had to say here. Obstacles. Are there any in our way? Are we just getting in our own heads, or is there a legit concern in your mind?
I'll say this. How do you respond to the first penalty? I go back to remember the Tennessee game. That first penalty, that first pre-snap penalty where it went 1st and 25 up there at Neyland Stadium, and it all went downhill from there. You couldn't move the ball on that drive. You have to punt, and it all just kind of starts unraveling. Then you go back to the LSU game, right? That first drive, penalty. But what does Bama do? They put that behind them. They learned to see. They put that behind them. They went right down the field, 80-yard drive, which capped off with Jalen Milroe, 39-yard touchdown. They put their foot on LSU's neck and boat raced them. What do you do after the first penalty in Norman? It's going to be loud early on. It's going to be a chaotic crowd. As you mentioned, Justin, they want some sign of hope here. When you get that first pre-snap penalty, whether it's a false start from an offensive lineman, whether it's an illegal shift, whatever the case may be, what is your response? You let that hang around, you don't move the ball your first drive, and you go into a lull, or you go, okay, penalty, big whoop, flush it, punch him in the face, get down the field and score, and shut everybody's mouth up. How do you respond after that first penalty?
I love it. That's actually excellent. That's something I didn't take into consideration, but of course we should, because the penalties have been an Achilles heel. This is a game where we need to continue that trend, a downward trend of accumulating penalties. We did pretty well against Mercer. How we do against a better team in a more difficult environment. All right, Stephen M., this is where you take center stage. We got a couple things to talk about. First and foremost, you already lightly touched on that. We're going to talk about Keanu Coot. People are asking a lot of questions. I've seen some people even talk negatively about him and about the discipline issues that's been floating around that he was apparently involved with, but nothing's been confirmed. I just know what you, Marvin, and myself have experienced with this young man. This is a very good kid, a man of outstanding character, a hard worker, a guy that has put in 4 years of work. He has graduated early, and we hope this will be the season that he would emerge, finally get his shot at stardom, and be able to make his jump into the NFL after this season. He had a shot early this year and often, but things just for whatever reason could not come together for that young man. Doesn't say anything negative about him, but it's disappointing. We all wanted him to make it work, but it didn't. So if you would kind of shed some light on why Keanu is moving forward, and then what may have caused this marriage to not work the way we anticipated.
Well, first and foremost, guys, this is a quality young man. This is a quality young man. This is nobody that was any type of real major trouble at all. What this is sometimes it doesn't work out in Alabama. You want to come in, you want to play here. Absolutely, you want to play here. But in the sense of Keanu Coat, you're also in this NIL era. And in the NIL era, you got a lot of these NIL agents that are in your ear. Because now it's, if you don't pop by year one, at least year two, that NIL agent saying, hey, you might want to go elsewhere because you're not going to pop here. And if you ain't going to pop here, you trying to get paid. Me as your agent, I'm trying to get paid. We're going to go, we can get paid. So If you're not going to pop here, go somewhere where you can actually pop at. And so that's the thing that with Keanu, he sat there and announced it, where his agent announced it first, and then Keanu goes on his Instagram platform and writes up a little letter and puts that out there as well. But this is just one of those where you don't pop quick enough. This is what happens, right? Because right after Q Robinson goes down, it's not Keanu that's the first one out there. It's Quay and Yonsei Pierre. Those are the first two names that the coaches go, y'all are up. And then behind you two, it's the two freshmen, Ross and Noah Carter. So it's tough for Keanu, but this is the day and age we're in now in college football.
That, and a lot of people are quick to say, well, somebody was troublemaker.
Yep.
Problem.
Yep.
Let's be real honest here, people. We're talking about football players here, okay? We're not talking about choir boys. We're not talking about the patrons.
Candy stripers.
We're talking about football players. And one of my coaches said it best many years ago. You go out there with a bunch of choir boys, you're going to get your ass whooped. Again. So, yes, they will get in trouble from time to time for little stuff, but you got to give them grace because, again, to play this sport, we all know you can't be wrapped too tight no way. So I give them a pass.
No, without question. Like I said, there's no reason to put him down or speculate. And to the people who are saying that he was a possible cancer, just stop that right now. We spent time with him on this panel. He's a great kid. This may not be the right stage for him, but there is a stage out there that he can go to where he will excel. Go ahead, Marvin.
I like to see a lot of people, especially in this chat, go out there and take on a 6'5", 6'6", 335-pounder who benches 500 pounds. Go do it for free. And you tell me how you feel after the fact. If that's something you really want to do on a daily basis, I guarantee you're going to say real quick, yeah, they ain't wrapped too tight.
That's like putting Stephen F. Smith against Larry Allen. Maybe we could do that for charity. I don't know.
Please don't do that.
Not do that. Okay.
Not do that.
I got you. Want to give an opportunity. Okay, Stephen, the next thing on the docket, we got to talk recruiting. We've had some moving pieces here lately. Caleb Cunningham has decided that Tuscaloosa is not the place for him, but Oxford is. And then we got Anthony Turbo Rogers, who is headed to play for the Buckeyes and wants to be a part of that cold weather. And then, too, Justice Terry, a guy that we are coveting right now, is going to be visiting Auburn this weekend. Let's talk about recruiting. Let's talk about the two that we've lost and how that's not necessarily the loss that we may feel it is. And then how close are we to grabbing Justice Terry, which I feel like is a very important piece right now in terms of this class. Yeah, start us out with Caleb and Turbo and explain to the fans. We already talked about it. We understand. We don't have a desperate need at wide receiver. We don't have a desperate need at running back. But tell us why this doesn't really negatively impact Alabama.
It doesn't because, as I've stated before, this is a different age of college football. When you introduce name, image, and likeness, these young men are going after who's got the best deal, right? A commitment right now doesn't mean anything.
Nope.
Yes, you got some kids that are loyal and they say, hey, I'm 10 toes down on this, and they show you. But the mass majority aren't like that, right? The mass majority, you can't trust that until pen hits parchment. When pen hits paper, then it's real. When pen hits paper, then you 10 toes down. But until that.
Who still says parchment? How old are you, man? You have old Sunday school candy in your pocket.
Look,
get the lint off your peppermint, man.
Look, man. The paper, Marvin, it's real. When the pen hits the paper, you know you got yourself signed on. Until the pen hits the paper, you're not signed on because anybody can still sway you. And so that's where we are in the NIL era. Starting off with Caleb Cunningham. I mean, people are saying, oh my gosh, this is awful. He's a 5-star. He's this. Bama needs him. Now, Ole Miss has got, look, y'all. Did y'all see Rico Scott last week? Did y'all see little Rico?
Yeah.
That guy's a star. That guy came out of high school out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 180 catches, over 3,000 yards, 50 touchdowns in his high school career. He came in the same class as Ryan Williams. Rico is that good. You got an Amari Jefferson. You got a Bubba Hampton, who you flipped from Texas. Sarkisian wanted him bad, like real bad. And you flip Bubba Hampton. You are fine at wide. You got Jared Hamilton. Folks, Jalen Hale is coming back with a medical red shirt. You are fine at that position. You don't need Caleb Cunningham. You are fine. Now, in terms of Turbo Rogers, you're fine there. Justice is going to come back. Jam is going to come back. Richard Young's coming back. You got, what's his name? You got Daniel Hill. You got Kevin Walker. You got a Keelan. That's 6 backs. Turbo's like, I'm trying to go somewhere where I could actually play because you got 6 backs. This running back room is looking like 2013 when you had Yeldon, Drake, my God, Kamara, Tenpenny, Tyron Jones. They all on the field at the same time. So it's not as horrible as what you think it is. Bama's got a load of talent on this roster.
Okay. Can you talk on Justice Terry? Where's your confidence level on grabbing him? We haven't seen a whole lot of defensive linemen commit in this class other than London Simmons, which we are very excited about him. Big part of the show, big part of our Bama Standard family. But having Justice is kind of the icing on the cake, I think.
I think Freddie gets him. Freddie Roach has been on him. Now, Justice is not going to tell you, or Justin's not going to tell you where he's swaying or where he's leaning. But knowing Freddie Roach, Freddie has been calling this guy every single moment he can. And not just Freddie. I think Coach Cap has had a hand in there with that. I think Coach G has had a hand in there with that, Rob Gillespie. So this staff is not just going to let Terry walk out of here. Like they are on him. They are on him. So I feel like Alabama's able to pull him in. But when it comes to Caleb Cunningham and Turbo Rogers, and even Dawson Merritt, who flipped to Nebraska, people, this is where we are right now in college football. When you want to play for Bama, you will show that by signing on that dotted line, right? You will show that by signing on that dotted line. Until you sign on that dotted line, you are still flirting and in courtship with your recruitment. That's where you are right now. That's where a lot of these kids are. They're not sold out. They're not settled in on this is my school. No, they still flirting. They still courting around. They still trying to play the field right now. So until they are ready to settle down and stop playing the field and put that name on a piece of paper, it's okay if they flip somewhere else. Because right now, they're not ready to truly make that decision.
Also, too, Stephen, we're in a day and age where a lot of these guys are just using a place like Alabama as leverage just to get more money out of another institution. Never really any desire to commit to Alabama or go to Alabama. It's more so using that big name, that script A, to generate more funds out of the Ohio States, the Georgias, Texas, and so on. But that's just the way things are trending right now in the NIL generation. It's who goes to the highest bidder. Coach Saban said that, but people wanted to say that he was complaining because they felt that this was a more level playing field. So that's where we are.
That's where we are. And like I said, it has its pros, it has its cons, but we look at it until you sign your name, then we don't know where you're going. We don't know where you're going. So Justice, I know Monica Petaway is writing in. Bama never picked up Justice Terry. No, Bama hasn't picked up Justice Terry. Justice is still doing his commitment thing. But like I said, one coach that I know has been in his ear is Freddie Roach. Freddie knows. I gotta get this guy. Like I gotta get this guy, especially after the season. Tim Keenan possibly headed to the NFL after this season. You look at Jamarian Latham, he's going to be gone after the season. You look at LT Overton. Should he start popping these last few games? LT Overton could go after the season. And you are looking at a young defensive line going into the next spring when you talk having James Smith back, having Damon Payne back, having Jordan Renard, Edric Hill, Jeremiah Beeman. You're going to have some studs back, but they're going to be young. So getting a Justice Terry in this class for 2020 or in the 2025 class, it's going to be huge.
Couldn't agree more. All right, folks, before we get to our predictions and players of the game, we got to remind everyone your season is not truly complete. We can't get into the playoffs unless you get your title towel. Go to whitwellsports.com today. Enter the promo code STANDARD. You'll get a nice discount courtesy of your favorite channel, the Bama Standard Network. That's right, folks. Grab your title towels up today and get ready for the playoffs. But we got something before that. The Iron Bowl is next week. We're going to need 100,000 plus running strong with title towel in hand. So make sure you grab that. And speaking of the Iron Bowl, I have a nice little announcement coming up in just a few minutes. So get ready for that. Well, as we always do or try to do at the end of every show before the big game, we like to go around the room and get our predictions and players of the game. Marvin, I know you probably have some financial interest in this game, but more so an interest in your alma mater. What's your prediction for this game? How you see it going, and who is your player on offense and defense who will be the MVP?
I have not.
Well, I'm wearing my bookie out, man. I'm wearing my bookie out now. I had to get it.
You done yet?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
I do not have a vested interest in this game. I did not bet. I will only be watching. Now, in terms of predictions, I'm going to go Alabama 38-17. Players of the game, I'm going to take I think we're going to get a lot out of LT Overton this week. I think it's set up for him to win again, but that starts with the back end doing their job to make the quarterback hold the ball that extra second or two so that we can get the pressure on the quarterback. So he's going to be my defensive player. My offensive player of the game, I feel like we're going to continue to run the ball more. I feel like they finally get it now. So my player of the game will be Justice Haynes. I think Justice is going to have a breakout game this week. You know, I think he's going to spell jam, and I think when he's in there, he's going to eat.
I want to see that so bad. Man, I want to see that. Stephen M., what you got?
Defensive player of the game, I'm going to go Bray Hubbard. Bray gets pick 6 this week. Bray continues that trend of non-offensive touchdowns. He'll get his 3rd pick of the season. This one will go to the house, and he'll continue to build on what he's been able to do since taking over for the injured Keon Sapp. Offensive player of the game, give me Parker Browsford at center. His communication, his setting up the calls, his camaraderie with Jalen Milroe going to be key this week. Him being able to keep the offensive line calm in that tough environment, making sure everybody recognizing the cadence, not having those pre-snap penalties. I'm going to go with Parker Browsford, offensive player of the game.
Okay, I like that. For me, I'm going to go Alabama 28, Oklahoma 10. Offensive player of the game, I'm going to go with Jeremy Bernard. And then defensive player of the game, I'm going to go with a guy up front. I think Tim Keenan III is going to eat. This is going to be one of his signature games and one of the games that NFL GMs are going to look to as a springboard to bring him on their squad. All right, so that we got a few questions here from the audience. Well, some of those are statement. You issued a challenge earlier, Marvin, to the people in the audience to take on an offensive lineman or two. Or, well, we got IMAX 3D saying, I want to take on Marvin Constant as a former tight end myself.
IMAX 3D, you like being in one piece, don't you? I'm sure you have a day job that you have to report to Monday through Friday. So I don't think you want them problems.
But if you'd like to set that up, just give me a nice email, justinriley@thebamastandard.com, and we can arrange a charity event of sorts. Thank you, I'm Extra D. We appreciate that. Okay, Braden Curry, why y'all acting like OU is a good team? They have a lot of injuries also. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Nothing is going right for the Sooners. A lot of their key players have been injured for the majority of the season. The marriage just doesn't seem to be working this year. But you can't overlook any opponent. This could be a game where they suddenly put it all together. We've seen this before. We've seen it in College Station, where in 2021 we should have gone out there and treated like it was an away homecoming game, and we came out in the wrong end of it. So you can't take it for granted. Marvin, what do you got?
Well, I said it earlier in the show that this is a downtrodden team and that they have been beat up. So, that's why I said, we can potentially end this game. When Reggie was saying, third quarter, I said, you mean second quarter? Because, Alabama's in a position to end this one early due to the downtroddenness of Oklahoma. So I expect to see us jump on them early and often due to that.
Okay.
I expect the same thing, too. You get off on a quick start. What we were talking about is don't go into this environment just not locked in on it. Because remember, you went into Nashville to take on Vandy, like this is just old Vandy, and you got beat. So even though Vandy was healthy, quarterback healthy, everybody was healthy, you don't walk into this Oklahoma environment with your mind not locked in. That's my main thing. Now, we walk in with our minds locked in, Bama's wiping the floor with Oklahoma. That's all we say.
Big Six Ringo. That's called wishful thinking where I'm from. Ain't happening.
Don
I think y'all
Parker
beat us once in the last 20 years. Good luck with that.
Referring back to Stephen M. Smith's use of the proper etiquette. Parchment, laugh out loud. Oh, ye who useth proper English, laugh out loud.
I'm wondering, is he writing the preamble? I mean, is he writing amendments? What are you doing here?
Hey, look, man. I got my quill of ink over here.
Okay, Harry Potter.
A white wig and a robe. You put that white wig and that robe on with them glasses. Oh my God, I'm done.
It's either that or Stephen M. Smith is in the Gryffindor house over there at Hogwarts.
Y'all see, what people don't realize was I was one of the secret founding fathers. They just had me in the back. Just
had you in the back.
Yeah,
I hear you. And then we got Jay Easy. I don't understand why these players don't believe in our staff. Talking about, I guess, Keanu leaving and then the recent flips.
Okay, so
a lot of them are business deals. I mean,
absolutely,
football is a business now.
That's what it is. College football is a transaction now. These players don't come because of they love the program, they love the school. They come because now I can get paid now. That's why I can get paid now. So you're telling me at 17, 18, I can put my family in a better situation now? Like, it's not about me playing for the love of the sport. I mean, football is cool and everything, but I can get mama this house now. I can get myself this car now. Like, it's a different mindset of athlete.
Stephen, it's no different than NFL players asking to be traded.
Period.
All it is.
Period.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, you would think after a big win over LSU, where it puts us into the conversation even more with the college football playoffs, that automatically you start seeing people committing right and left. But instead you have, 2 or 3 guys decide, now Bama ain't for me. That's just the way it is nowadays. It's the bottom line. It's not about being a blue blood anymore. It's not about that script A. For some it is, like the gentleman that we had on our show a couple weeks ago. But they're few and far between these days. All right, so let's move along. We're starting to wrap things up. I told you guys that we have something special for you for the Iron Bowl, and I expect the house to be packed. So I want everyone in this chat, as soon as this broadcast is over, to start reaching out to folks, because we got a guest. When it's Iron Bowl week, we need to bring the legends out, and we have someone for you. And I need Stephen M. Smith to be awake for this because this is huge.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Well, come in.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alabama has always been running back you. And we have one of its founding fathers coming to join us to help us bring in a victory in the Iron Bowl. And that is none other than Bobby Humphrey.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So everyone, I want you here, and he's going to be with his son next week too. So maybe Dad can bring son with him. Tune in. This is the Bama Standard for a reason.
Look, now, if Marlowe hop on here, Marvin going to have a lot of fun with this.
Well, we've had about as much fun as we possibly can have on this episode. Thank you so much to Reggie Grimes for being with us the short amount of time he was. Always love to have him on when we can get him. Also, we are a network of shows. After this, at 8 p.m. Central, we got the final whistle. And then Wednesday night, tomorrow night, that's right, 6:30 p.m. Central, we got Crimson Dynasty with C.She Payne, Dan James, and Justin J.B. Baines. The nightcap with the legend himself, George Teague, Teague's Take at 8:15 p.m. Central. And then we got a brand new show Thursday nights for Alabama basketball fans. It's called Going Hard in the Paint, 7:30 p.m. Central. Got Josh J.T. Tucker. We got Herb Ragsdale and Daniel Petty in the house for that. And then Saturday, immediately following the game, we're going to have the Bama Standard post-game show. And Sunday nights, we'll have Sunday Night Talking Bama with Josh Tucker, Justin J.B. Baines, and Stephen M. Smith. And then to start next week out, Daniel Petty and Smoke will be back on the opening kick at 7 p.m. Central. And like I said, be here next Tuesday. Bring a friend who'll bring a friend who'll bring the mom and dad. It's going to be incredible. Before we close up shop, I'm going to let you folks here on this panel tell everyone how they can find you.
You got to put my last comment up there.
All right. Well, I'm working on that. Marvin, if you would, tell folks how they can find you. Oh,
Constant 45. Twitter, X, Constant 451. It's real simple.
And Marvin Constant has said UJA is the king of college football street racing.
There's your title, Georgia.
That's it, Georgia. Kings. Street Kings. Stephen M. Smith, how can they find you? I mean, you're pretty much on every episode of every show on this channel.
Coaching M. Smith on X, on IG. You can find me at Sexy Glasses Standard #1.
Chill out, man. Now, of course, Andy Kaufman actually has the next latest show. I mean, Andy Kaufman has, and on Sundays, you can catch Talking Parchment with Stephen M. Smith. So Andy Kaufman has already got it down, the Talking Parchment with me, but you can catch me, as Marvin said, on X, Coaching M. Smith, right there. TouchdownAlabama.com. All the articles are right there. Bama Standard Network. You can catch me right here. And I won't be in Norman this week for the game, but I will be here at home watching, covering Bama, Oklahoma.
Okay.
You can catch him at the Motel 6 off of Skyland Boulevard selling scrolls of
Oh, hey, real quick before we head out, we got a nice little super chat here from Don J. Thank you so much, Don. Guys, we can't be sleeping on Oklahoma or anybody. Couldn't agree more. So that's why we give teams respect on this show.
Man,
Can't
hold on.
Hold on. Hear ye.
Why gotta be
in the year of our Lord,
hold on.
20 and 24.
Why gotta be at the Motel 6 selling parchment? Why I can't be in the Super 8, man? Why can't be in the Super 8?
We play Auburn University on, in a fortnight.
Full score 7 games ago.
Oh Oh man, this is funny. This is funny.
You want to bring up parchment paper, and you did it to
Exactly.
yourself.
Yeah, Stephen M. Smith joined this show using Morse code. Anyway, folks, we appreciate you being with us tonight. I know we're short, two of our crew, but you had the Trinity here tonight, carrying you through, getting you ready for the Sooners. But everyone will be back center stage next week. Before you leave out the door, hit that like and subscribe button. Until next week.
Before we go, I would like to say goodbye to Sir Stephen M. Smith.
Hey, I got my quill right here. Well, I gotta go find the new quill. I'll be back.
You can't see it with them magnifiers on? My God.
Yep, it's over there. I see the line. It's right there on the table. I gotta write down the minutia.
Love it. Roll Tide, everybody.
Here we go.
Roll Tide.